Alright, you're welcome to today's video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this traditional Yoruba hat. Yeah, so stick around. You're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need, of course, you're going to need your ashoke fabric. One roll of ashoke would be enough, so 1 meter, that's how they measure it. They measure it in a meter. 1 meter of ashoke is going to be more than enough for a hat for a person. You are going to need some sort of lining for the inside of your cap. You are going to need hemming gum. I'm going to show you how we are going to use this, and you are going to need gum stay. Okay, so just a little bit of gum stay and a little bit of air stay. Yeah, so if you have all of that, then let's proceed. Alright, so the first thing you are going to do is you are going to fold a standard measurement of 8 inches. So the first part we are working on is the center of the head. Okay, so that's the round part at the top of the cap. So this is the part I'm talking about. This is the first part that we are going to cut. So the first thing you are going to do is you are going to fold a standard measurement of 8 inches. So this is going to work no matter the size of head that you are working with. So you're going to use 8 inches to make a fold on your fabric. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to attach them together. So you see, we're going to join the adire in order to increase the length of what we're working with. So remember, 2 of them were joined together like so. I'm going to join them together like this now. Okay, so I'm going to just overlap, take this other part here and overlap it on this one by just half an inch. So you see, this one is half an inch under this one. And once I keep it like this, I'm going to make a stitch from here all the way down to hold it in place. Alright, so now after you have done this, so you see I've joined them together and I've increased the length. You can see how this one here overlaps on the under part. Now that's the bottom part. Next thing I'm going to do is, so you see where we join them side to side, you're now going to fold it in half. So from here to here is 8. From here to here will be longer than 8. From here to here should be like about 12. Okay, yes, 12. Okay, I'm going to fold it on the 8. So not on the 12, on the 8 that we had. I'm going to fold it in half and I'm going to iron it. We have a center. So you see the center that we have here. Okay, that's where we did the joining, where both sides of the ashoke were joined together. From that point, I'm going to mark 4 inches everywhere. Okay, keep the 4 inches on the center and then mark everywhere around. So at this point we've cut the center part of the head, that's the circle on top of the cap. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to need to cut your lining before we proceed. So you get a piece of fabric you intend to use as your lining. You make a fold that will be enough to accommodate the ashoke that we have. Okay, so I have enough. I'm going to iron it down so that everything is just nice and smooth. And I'm going to replicate this cut that I have. We are done with the top. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to iron. Now you can skip the next step. This next step I'm doing if you have like very good, very excellent ashoke. So the ashoke I'm dealing with is good quality, but this is not like the best in the world. But if you are dealing with an ashoke that is like 10,000 naira per meter and up, that one is going to usually be made of from a thicker spool of wool or thread, sorry. But that's going to just be a bit heavier than this. This is a bit light. This is good quality, but this is not the best of the best. So just so that we can supplement that, since it's not like very thick, I'm going to just use stay. This is not necessary. It's just going to make it a bit better. So you turn to the wrong side. That's the part that you've decided is the wrong side, and you're going to iron on stay. So woven fusible interfacing, the soft one. I'm going to simply just iron this down in order to give the top of the cap a bit of weight. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do, you can see I've opened up the fabric I intend to use for my lining. And I'm going to take my hemming gun. So with that, we have attached the fabric part that's supposed to be that's supposed to make up our lining. We're doing that in order to reduce the amount of stitches we make on our while sewing. Now the next thing you need to do is you're going to need to measure the circumference around the head of the person you are making this cap for, in order to have an idea of what you are doing. So for me, the head I'm making this for is 22.5. So you take that number and keep it aside. So the circumference around where the edge of the cap would sit. All right. So 22.5 is what I'm working with. I have that number chilling by the side. What I'm going to do is we're going to need to cut this here 9 inches, 4 times at least for me. Now 9 inches. Let me explain. That 9 inches that we're measuring is what's going to determine the height of the cap before one side is folded. Okay, so that 9 inches is the height of the cap, and then the circumference I was talking about is the circumference around the base of the cap. That's the part that this cap here, the circumference around the head where you want this cap to sit and stop. So that's here is this here is the 22.5. The 9 inches I'm telling you to measure now is the height of this. Okay. All right. So I'm going to need to measure 9 inches at least 4 times. So make sure to do the same. That should be, no matter the head you are making this for, 9 inches 4 times of your cutting your ashoke 4 times at 9 inches each should be enough for any head. So that's 1. Now after you've cut it like so, we're going to need to join them together into 4 places. We're going to need to join them together side by side. Sorry. Okay. So you see this? We're going to join, take here, overlap it with here, and we're going to stitch from here down to join it. And I'm going to continue doing that. Take this, overlap it by just half an inch, and then the last one is going to sit here. So let me go and join these two together. Remember, this one here is crossing over this one in by just half an inch. Okay, let me do that and I'll be back. Okay, so I've joined them together. You can see here I took this one and brought it in by half an inch. If I turn to the bottom, you would see that I have this part here. Alright, so now I've joined the 4 of them together. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to now use that our head circumference measurement. So what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever your head circumference is and you're going to add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Now 1 inch will be used for sewing, the other half inch is just a bit of room so that it doesn't stop blood from flowing to your brain. So the head circumference that we're dealing with is 22.5. 22.5 plus 1.5 inches is equals to 24. So I'm going to measure out 24, and if I have any excess, I'm going to cut it off. Okay, so for me, I have 24 on the dot. Okay, you can see that after measuring, I have 24 on the dot. If you happen to need extra, you can always just cut another one, add it there, and then cut off the excess if there is need. If you have any excess, cut it off. So let's say if my head was 21 and I needed to add 1.5 and I was adding and after adding my 1.5 I had 22.5. I will measure this, and when I get to 22.5 I will cut off any excess that I have. But for me, after joining my ashoke together, it was just perfect without making any cuts. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is we're going to iron gum stay to the wrong side. So to wherever you have decided is the wrong side of your ashoke, you're going to iron on interfacing. Now this here is what we call soft gum stay. In Nigeria, it's an interfacing, it's a woven interfacing. You're going to measure a height of 4 inches. So the height of this is 4 inches, and you're going to iron it to the wherever you decide is the bottom part of your cap. So you see this part here, I intend to use that for the top part. So this part here is the part that will be attached to the circle. From here down is the part that will sit around my head. So we're going to use this gum stay to solidify that part so that it stands. Alright, so that after I make that bend at the top, I still have the bottom part here where I have, it still has a bit of stiffness. I'm going to iron on this gum stay to the bottom part. It's 4 inches high. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fold. So you see this fold I'm making, you're going to use 4 inches to make this fold. So you're going to fold 4 inches. You see the way I'm folding it? Here to here is that 24 that I have. You're going to fold 4 inches up and you're going to iron. So after you folded 4 inches and you've ironed, you're going to head over to your sewing machine and you're going to sew just half an inch away from this edge. So you see this edge that I have here. You see this edge I have here. You're going to come half an inch in. So towards the side that is 4 inches, not towards this other side here. Towards the side where you folded 4 inches. So this way I folded for off the edge here. I'm going to come in by a bit less than half an inch, and I'm going to make a stitch all the way across the 24. Let me do that and I'll be back. Alright. So you can see what I was talking about. I've made a stitch here from the top all the way across. I'm going to open it like this. I'm going to push this excess towards the top part, not towards the fold. So towards the top part, and I'm going to iron it. And after you have done this, I want you to fold it in half. Okay? I want you to fold it in half and iron. So you're going to get the fabric, come to an edge, make a fold, place this one on top and confirm that you have enough. If you do, take out this part here and iron it. And if everything is sitting perfectly, you are free to cut. I'm going to place this one here on top of here. So you see that I'm going to place front facing the clean side, and I'm going to join them at the bottom. So on the part here where we have our gum stay, from the edge here, I'm going to join the lining, fabric and the lining together at the edge, half an inch all the way across. Alright? Alright, so after you have done that, you're going to open it up like this and iron it down. So you see this, I've pushed all my excess. If you look inside, all of the excess is sitting towards where the lining is. I'm going to come 0.25 inches away from here, and I'm going to make a stitch from here all the way down. Alright, so you can see the stitch I have made at the bottom to hold everything, to hold this and this in place. What I'm going to do next is this. So we have all of this open like so. I'm now going to collapse it and I'm going to join them together with half an inch. Make sure that as you join them together that you align all of your points. So you see these 2 points here where here is facing up. Make sure both of them are facing up. Here is facing up towards the side that doesn't have gum stay. When I say the side, you see here has gum stay, here it doesn't. Make sure here is facing up, here is facing up. Make sure this point here where the transition between fabric and lining, okay, that point there where they change, make sure they align. Let me make that stitch from here half an inch all the way into the lining, and I'll be back. Alright, so I've made the stitch from here running down. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spread and iron this. Okay, so you can see I've turned everything inside out. Then I'm now going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew. Oh no, I'm going to stitch half an inch away from the edge. So from the edge here, come in by half inch and stitch all the way around. So this is the stitch I'm talking about. From the inside here you can see, and this is it here on the back. The next thing is I'm going to straighten everything, make sure everything lays straight, and I'm going to stitch on the ashoke here. Okay, so if your lining might be slightly longer, because if you see at the end we have the ashoke turning in a bit before I made this stitch, so we're going to be might be a bit longer at the top here. The line might be a bit longer, so it's okay to have that excess there. Push it here and then make a stitch close to the edge, half an inch close to the edge, all the way around. That to secure the top part. All right. Okay, you can see I have turned everything back into the lining. Okay, and that's because it's time to join this part here to this part. So what you're going to do is I want you to pin here the cap, this cylinder we have, onto the top circle that we have. I want you to pin it. Now what you would notice while you pin is that this circle here is bigger than the cap, so that's why I want you to carefully pin it down. I want you to pin and make sure that you have carefully pinned. Watch and see how. Now what I was trying to say, now I could have done this without pinning, but for you, if this is your first time making it, you can go ahead and pin this around. Now the reason why we're pinning it around is because the circle that we have is bigger than this part here, so we're going to need to do some trimming when we are done. So you need to pin it so that you know exactly the amounts that the exact amount you need before heading to your sewing machine. It's a lot easier to do it this way than to try to get it accurately. If you try to get it accurately, that's the best way to do it, but you might end up having a situation where either the circle is too small by half an inch or the cylinder is too big by half an inch. So I prefer if I have a big excess, and then I can always do this and then pin it down and then trim off whatever excess I have. So you can see this here is the cylinder. When you are attaching this part here onto this part, you can see that I came away half inch away from the edge, just like I told you. If you have any excess, like I said you would, just go ahead and trim it, making sure that you leave half an inch. Okay, so I have trimmed all the half inch around, and after this you are basically done. The only difference is that for me, so that this is neat, I'm going to use my overlocker now to finish the edge so that it is neat. Alright, so I've used my overlocker to finish the top. I can now turn it inside out, and once you do that, you are done. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Do have a lovely day. Goodbye.